It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi, as always. I just
We just saw.
How you doing, Mario?
Thank you. I feel like something has happened.
My baby walked right by behind you.
Okay. Oh, hi.
How you doing, Maria? I wonder why they brought you into the
fine.
studio. How you doing, Maria?
I'm fine. So you know how I've been complaining that I've not been sleeping. It would not be nice that now that I'm sleeping, I won't tell you before I slept.
What's the secret?
I slept very well.
Oh.
Friday night, Saturday night, last night, I truly
Today
slept.
you're just popping.
Oh, I don't know, because usually in the mornings you get up to work out, so you have things planned to do. And I guess in my mind it was, okay, I need to watch the time for when I need to get up to do those things.
Okay.
But when I cleared everything, I just knew all I had to do was sleep. And I slept well. I feel it in my bones.
Wow.
I feel so good. I'm refreshed.
Really
Sleep is important.
It
Sleep
is.
important.
So you stayed on your bed. You know,
Oh,
I wanted to do that, but it's difficult to do that in my house. Like
The children will come
something
and
just
meet you.
something always distracts
But
you.
I've
They will
also
jump on
done
the
something.
bed.
I've reorganized my bedroom. I've moved. Where I used to have my walk-in closet, I've moved my bed in there, and I've moved the closet into
Outside.
the main room.
Okay.
So the bedroom itself is much smaller and cozier.
So you can lock people out, so the kids can actually have fun in
Yes,
that
when they
big
come
space.
in, yes,
In
nobody.
the big space.
Yes.
Yeah, in mommy's room, but not in mommy's room.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
That's what I do.
Yeah, so right. How you arrange your room has a
I
lot
like
to do
that
with
idea.
when you get into
How
the
you doing, BC?
I'm doing amazing,
How's the weekend?
The weekend was okay. I was at home. My weekends I usually spend with family. So, you know, it was International Men's Day. I think on Friday.
yeah,
I took
heard.
Onga to the spa. He had his
He
massage.
also like, he even listens to you for this kind of thing.
He has to listen to me.
He did have Cardi Brown to spy, eh? Well, it's national headlines.
So I had his pedicure, massage, facials. I had a good time. It was a quiet weekend. I was busy on Saturday. I was busy at home, you know, looking through my website. My website is up and ready for business. I was just looking through, making sure that it's a lot of work. Like I haven't even gone halfway, but I'm glad that people can start. Shop BC, yeah, for my products. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So all your stuff, the hair, the everything on the website.
There, yeah.
So, okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Importer, exporter.
Pure water.
How you doing, Tope?
I'm good, grateful.
You still didn't have earrings. You actually wanted to.
One ear.
Imagine.
I forgot to wear the second
Oh,
one.
my
As
shield.
in, my matter is wonderful. Glory to God. Because I deliberately was saying it that I have
now.
earrings I must wear.
Yes,
and then
I heard her talking about I
and
have to wear my
forgot.
earrings. Just for you not to wear it.
Yeah. Oh well, which side did I don't even
That's
know, but
good,
it will be fine. Weekend was good, very restful with family, and I was listening to a message, you know. There's this book called Acts of the Holy Spirit by Jumoke Adenowo, and the testimonies are so inspiring. Like after reading one testimony, I'll just put the book down and pray. So it was a prayerful weekend for me. I was like, this really happened. Like the power of God moves like this. Like it's undeniable. There were pictures of womb that the doctors, not in Nigeria or in the UK, in the US, confirmed something was wrong, and then miracles happen, and it just inspires more faith to believe God for more, and like God used me to do huge things in my world. You know?
I would like your color. It pops.
Yeah, thank
looking
you.
So cool.
Forever young fashion, made in Nigeria. That's
Nice,
Lovely.
nice.
How
the
you
gist of the
doing?
gist. Mariah, what happened to you this weekend?
Okay, my PA got married.
Yay!
Agnes, yes, she got married.
Congratulations again, Agnes.
Saturday, I went there very briefly,
Okay.
and there was a family weekend in church. All the kids were there, you know, bouncing castles, the whole works. So it was nice fun, just hanging out with family. Sunday, my friend had invited me to this really nice dinner, Dining with Christ. I forgot.
You didn't go?
And I also had pictures like, oh, sugar. You know, I really wanted to be there, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. But yeah, it was a nice weekend. I tried to sleep. I really did. Turn off the lights, lock the kids. But especially that little one, Gabriel. Mommy, open the door for me. Open. You can't keep hearing that. You know, open the door.
Yeah.
You know, so she's all about pressing.
They're so persistent.
Yeah,
They won't
they won't stop once you open that. So I couldn't really sleep, but you know. Okay, lots happening. Let's go on a break. When we return, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with The Nation. Oh, our phone stands. Thank you.
Yeah,
again
thank
to
you.
the
We're
person who
loving
gave us-
it.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, The Nation. INEC awaits President's Action Electoral Act. Nigerians stranded abroad over expired passports. Prosecute illegal varsity operators after Babala tells NUC. Fidelity Bank launches Fidelity for You campaign. Malami DSS El Zakzaki passport not in our custody. No more sit at home, says Ohaneze. Doctoral degree for Akonde. Okay, so I have the major headlines. So we all remember that there's this back and forth concerning the issue of direct or indirect primaries. And they're waiting for the president pretty much to sign off. So obviously people are making arguments for and against. And I think the PDP was saying that direct primaries would not only put an end to plutocracy and abuse of incumbency, but also reduce the prevalent incidences of imposition of candidates often associated with governors and money bags. So that's been the general argument for direct primaries. But those on the other side are also making their own arguments, and they're waiting that the president's his signature, on whichever one he decides, is what will determine what they use coming 2023 electoral season. Okay,
Yeah,
another
so,
story there.
They're saying that many Nigerians living abroad may not be able to spend the holidays with their loved ones in Nigeria because they're not able to renew their international passports in the Nigerian missions in the country of their residence. So the report says more than 1,000 Nigerians are stranded in Atlanta, United States, because of expired travel documents. One of the reasons this is happening is because there's a shortage of passport booklets, and there's also difficulty in obtaining the national identity numbers from names. And those are some of the things that are complicating the issues. It's also said same with Nigerians who are living in Caribbean countries like Jamaica, Bahamas, Cuba, Belize, Trinidad, and Tobago. Some of the parents are complaining that the Nigerian Immigration Office conducted biometrics for residents in Belize since June, and they had expected that by now they would have gotten their passports, but to no avail. Federal government, on the other hand, is saying that they are making efforts to print more of these passports. And
I think we need to make it a hot topic because we need to bring in somebody from the regulators, immigration, because the truth is that this is Christmas season. Many people want to come home to families, and it's quite sad that they can't get their passports.
Who are students,
stuck. Because now they have to pay for accommodation, feeding, or during the holidays. Now they just come home and just have a great time. So I think it's really wrong. We need to speak to somebody in that.
Let me quickly take the Afebalola University.
That's my story.
Oh, please go on.
The founder of Afebalola University, Chief Afebalola himself, was just talking to the Nigerian Union of National Universities Commission, and he was saying that really government needs to, they especially need to do better when it comes to these universities, these illegal universities, that the damage that they do is irreparable, to generations and many generations to come. He says also that building universities should not be politicized. Well, we have governors, who build universities just to make a political statement. And by the time that they leave, those universities, of course, are not maintained, and they run down. And then there are sad situations where House of Rep members also have created or built this one subject universities. And that does not make sense. And that, usually we see on the NUC website, they have annually the list of universities that are illegal. He says obviously means that prosecution is not done, that they need to be prosecuted, the collaborators as well, forfeit the building as well, and pay some fine so that, they understand the gravity of what it is that they are doing.
Okay, moving on quickly now to the Punch. 90 ships seized by EFCC rot away in Lagos and others. Lagos approves 135 private hospitals for COVID-19 vaccination. Okay, 6,000 naira fee. Oyo predicts influx of investors, readies IPP December 2022. 19.3 billion naira saga. Kogi alleges EFCC during hatchet job issues 48-hour ultimatum. Invading Cameroonian rebels came in by boat, says Taraba community residents. Pantami's governorship bid posters, handiwork of ministers of distractors. And experts blame 2023 elections for 4.1 trillion naira rise in recurrent expenditure. Okay, which story are we taking?
The major headline. Yes, so 90 ships being seized by EFCC set to rot away in Lagos. This is according to lawmakers. The House of Reps Ad Hoc Committee on Assessment and Status of All Recovered Loots, Movable and Immovable Assets from 2002 to 2020. So this committee went on a tour of all the assets that have been seized, and forfeited, whether temporarily or permanently, to just see, the state in which they were in. And they found that for ships especially, most of them have just been abandoned. Many of them have, so dilapidated, some have submerged into water. And the problem is that when vessels like that are seized, it's the Navy that is supposed to take care of it and maintain it. But the Navy is not giving any budget towards the maintenance of these ships. It costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of manpower to maintain these ships. And that EFCC, although EFCC does the shipping, EFCC does not reimburse Navy or, pay them any money to maintain the ships. So they have to let it go. And that what this will cause also eventually is that Navy will be unwilling to seize or claim any of these ships, because they know that what will happen is that they will sadly just see them, rot away and abandoned. And they talk about many other buildings as well. That for some buildings, they're able to still rent it out and rent is collected on it, but many of them you just lock it up and it falls apart. And this is in the time when we're constantly, seeking for loans, looking for monies everywhere, when we can put money towards maintaining what we have on ground.
All right, any story
so I was going to take the two stories, follow up on what happened in Taraba State. Remember, I took the story last week. On Tuesday, there was an attack by Cameroonians to Manga village, which is like a border town in Taraba, killing 11 people, including the village head. And the follow-up to that story was someone recounting how it happened that Tuesday morning at 7 a.m., that these attackers came via boats and attacked the village on the side of Cameroon first, and then the bush path they used to get into the village was very close to the village head's house, which was why they were able to kill him first. And that they thank God for the immigration officers who were around at the time to respond quickly to repel some of those, that the number of those that have been killed have been higher. I wanted to take the story again because now another account of someone who was present is accounting for the fact that there were presence of immigration officers and their presence repelled a few of their attackers, and that the killing would have been worse because they said these criminals just came in and were shooting at everybody at sight, which is really sad. And we're hoping that there will be some diplomatic response from Nigeria as a country to the Cameroon on how we can deal with this to prevent it from occurring. Because once there's precedence of nothing happening, something else might come up like this again.
Okay. Yeah, so the Lagos State government has engaged 135 private health facilities for the administration of COVID-19 vaccine. And they said this will strengthen the mass vaccination strategy, which is aimed at ensuring that 4 million residents are, being vaccinated by December 2021. So according to the State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, said that the number of public and private vaccination sites in Lagos is now 360. And they decided to carry out a lot of rigorous selection and accreditation process to have these private institutions be a part of the vaccination. But now if you want to go to the private centers, they listed everything on their NPHCDA website. You just have to pay 6,000 naira to be vaccinated. This will help Nigerians who feel more comfortable patronizing private hospitals. Okay, they are ready for it.
So the family of Timothy Adekoke, remember the deceased of the Obafemi Awolowo University, the counselor had said that they were afraid of the fact that the police plans to move the case to Abuja, and they are worried because they wanted the autopsy done and handled in the state. According to them, if you recall, the deceased had actually gone to OAU Moro campus for an examination where his remains was later found in the Ede-Ife road by the police. And also, if you recall, the story was linked to some hotel. I'm trying to remember the name of the hotel. Hilltop Hotel Ile-Ife. Was the investigation was linked them, and a very influential person. So they are worried that the case is being moved to Abuja, and they're writing to the police to ensure to retain the case in Osun State, that every investigation should carry the family along. They feel they've been put in the dark so far on what's going on. Although they commended the work the police is doing so far, but they ask that they should please carry them along in the entire investigation because they are afraid of how influential and powerful the owner of this hotel might be and might actually influence the investigation. Okay, let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Right, we're going to move on now to Vanguard. Forex row threatens fuel supply price stability. Nigerian security admission to the U.S. varsities in 2020 spent about 172 billion naira on tuition. CEPLAC committed to energy transition, says Brown. Fresh controversy trails investigation into OAU postgraduate students' murder. UK-based Save the Children appoints Otedola as vice president. Be brutal on bandits, kill them, bring back their weapons. The chief of staff orders the troops. And Kanu, how we brokered meeting with Buhari, says in the game. Okay, Tokwe.
So major headline. The Vanguard investigation has revealed that the challenges in our fuel sector is going to increase based on forex issues. So currently, most of the levies are paid in dollars. They said the depot owners are complaining that even after negotiations and having conversations with the government, they are still having to pay levies in dollars, and they cannot get these dollars available readily within the official means. So they are sourcing it at a higher rate. And this would lead to scarcity, especially within this season, because they want to shut down tools. They mentioned specifically all the major oil marketers. The challenge affects the major oil marketers, NNPC, as well as the stakeholders. They had a meeting to seek this solution. Please, by entering Christmas season, can the government find a way to resolve it? Why are they paying levies in dollars? Maybe we would have to ask the reason for the levies being paid in dollars, but currently that is the reason they are complaining, that the rate of dollar of fuel is going to go higher, or there will be scarcity in this.
Everybody's been complaining about levies lately. Even the guy in gas, the president of the gas, was saying they don't want to pay levies. Manufacturers don't want to pay levies.
Not that they don't want to pay.
This was saying this because it's
in dollars.
I'm just saying that. I'm just remembering that a lot of other groups are saying they will either reduce it drastically or remove it entirely. And I'm thinking, okay. All right, any other story in Vanguard? You're going to talk about brutal bandits. Should we move on? Okay, I can move on. Okay, let's go to the point. APC chairmanship top 10 contenders unveiled. Police arrest varsity lecturer over alleged rape of minor in Ebonyi. Pastor sodomizes 13-year-old during a church's deliverance service. Manufacturing sector defies harsh operating environment, posts 7.03 trillion output in Q3, and Ekiti governorship primaries and the epic battle ahead. Okay, I have the story of this man. I think his name is Nwayo. He's a pastor of the Holy Deliverance Ministry in Ebonyi State. Now, he's a 32-year-old man, and what he does is that he does deliverance services. And while doing the service, he actually had picked a 13-year-old child and said that this child was possessed with demons, and then he needs to take him into the inner chamber. Then he puts a handkerchief on him to actually keep it unconscious. When he got in there, unfortunately for him, the boy now gained consciousness while he was putting his pin inside.
When he tried to sodomize.
Thank you very much. While he tried to sodomize, he now gained consciousness. As he gained consciousness, he now saw 13 other kids unconscious in that same room.
Whoa!
So he screamed for help. People now rushed in and then saw what happened and caught him in the act. And that's how he was. He was arrested by the police, taken to, and he confessed. And of course, it's the devil, you know.
Of course, it's the devil. It's always the devil.
So they wanted, I think they paraded him in the community before handing him over to the police. But the families are asking that they don't want to go through the judicial process. They want to deal with him the local way, and that's where the contest. They bring him out. Let us deal with him.
Sometimes
you have to go through. This is democracy. He has to be arrested.
Sometimes this dealing is necessary.
Go through the process before he's now convicted to jail. Okay.
Similar story. So a lecturer at the Alex Ikweme Federal University in Dufu, in Ebonyi State, Felix Anye Gunam, is currently in police custody over the alleged rape of a primary 5 pupil. So they withheld the name, according to this report, and he's I want to get his department. I think a lecturer in geophysics, and his gatesman had a 12-year-old daughter who he's been sleeping with. He's been defiling that girl from time to time. So the girl keeps complaining to the father that, I don't like the way this man comes into my room to touch me. And the father will say, go back, go back and sleep. You know, if you leave this place, we cannot pay your school fees. It's been going on for a while till she reported to her teacher, who now took it to a human rights group, and they took this to court. So he's been arrested. They also found that he also did that to another of his co-workers' daughter sometime in 2017. and
This kind
the
of
case
case,
is
shouldn't
still
the father
on.
to be an accomplice in this?
No, it was here aware.
He was aware.
Yes.
The
He
mind
will not be aware of the depth of the
Crime or
of the defilement, but he was. But according to the story, he was definitely aware. So.
He just kept
Poverty was
yes, he felt helpless. I think that's.
Please let me take the story of manufacturers. So good news for manufacturers in Nigeria. According to them, despite the harsh economy, many of our manufacturers over the past few years have relocated to neighboring countries, but those that remained posted positive returns in the third quarter of this year as compared to the second quarter. There's been improvement. Out of the 13
Thank God.
sub-sectors, 12 of them posted profits. You know, there was profit from the tobacco, there was profit from food and beverages, cement boosted profit because it's affected us, profit from footwear, textile apparel, there's profit from the wood subsector, paper and paper products. Like a lot of the sectors experienced profits. And they also complained, as usual, that despite not having power, having multiple taxation, over-regulation, which is hurting them, they are still trying their best to put in efforts to improve our economy.
Moving on now to Daily Sun, banditry, Abuja schools on red alert. Monday sit at home no longer tenable, says Ohaneze. Zenith Bank lights up Lagos Road for Christmas. Alleged hidden 19.3 billion naira Kogi government gives EFC 48 hours to retract the statement or face legal action. And PDP will sack APC in 2023, says BOT chairman. All right.
Ohaneze Zendibo has called on the residents of the Southeast to go about their normal duties, that the era of Monday sit at home has been cancelled finally. So according to the National Publicity Secretary, Alex Ogbonnaya, it says banks, transport companies, markets, and all the people who transact business in the Southeast should resume activities. That it has shown that there's a form of unity in the Southeast, pulling together to fight for the IPOB leader. But now he's saying to them that there's no point for them to sit at home anymore. And this also is, you know, something that it's shocking to them to understand that the youths in Igbo land actually listened to their leaders, and they were able to have a very successful governorship elections in Anambra State. So this is, for those people who has always believed that Igbo people cannot be united, they can actually be united when they want to be united. And this is a step in the right direction. They have lost a lot of lost out in a lot of economic activities because of the sit at home. But this is the season where trading needs to happen. This is the Unitide season. A lot of people are coming in from Cameroon to buy things, and so everybody should go back to work. Nothing will happen to them.
Any other story?
The parents and school proprietors in Abuja are worried because of the kidnappings that has been happening, especially we know recently the one that happened at the University of Abuja. So many schools are taking steps, you know, to protect their students. One of the things that some schools are doing is that they've stopped the school bus shuttle because there's rumors that school buses may be attacked by these bandits. And so it's best for students to be taken to school, you know, by their parents. It's less conspicuous. And then some schools say they're taking some serious security, you know, measures to protect their students as well. There's also the fact that many parents are taking their children out of boarding schools and making them day students, you know, and those who are in like schools on the outskirts of Abuja are being brought back into town. So those are the measures that parents are taking, especially during this season. Then we'll see how that happens, what happens in the new year.
Our final paper this morning is the Nigerian Tribune. Kogi attacks EFCC. How 7 banks Q3 profits surpass GDP growth. Drug dealer behind cocaine hidden inside Lagos port toilet arrested. Fire guts building used for bunkering in rivers. Oshimbajo distances himself from the 2023 campaign office. And OAU postgraduate students autopsy holds today. AK 2022 room pause in Fayemi's cabinet over alleged endorsement of SSG. So Maya, will take the drug story,
Kogi State. Oh, Kogi State. Kogi State are calling out EFCC. You remember when EFCC said that they stole 19.3 billion naira bailout fund? The now EFCC now went back on their Facebook and said that 90.3 billion, Kogi State has returned it. Kogi State, foul. First of all, we did not even have any 19.3 billion that we put in CBN. How dare we now take the money out of CBN and now pay it? Tell them the truth. You know that there was nothing like that in the first place.
Wow.
We have proven to you by letter sent by Sterling Bank on the 1st of September saying that there was nothing like that in the first place. This is a work of political what. It's because you have seen the rising star of our governor, presidential ambition. So everybody is coming at him, but you know, God's of anyway. So wait for EFCC to reply.
God can for 10 hours.
Okay, I was going to take the vice president's story. So he's distanced himself from this campaign. There was a story that broke that he opened a campaign office. He allegedly opened a campaign office in Abuja to contest the 2023 presidential elections. And his spokesperson, I think is the person of the office of the vice president, Laolu Akande, said that is total and complete fake news. According to him, there was a group called the Progressive Consolidated Group. They're the ones who are trying to encourage the vice president to declare himself available to run for presidency. And they're the ones, so they're trying to collate, so there's a coalition group to bring people together, support the vice president's possible ambition. So they're trying to get him to vie for that position, but he hasn't officially told them he's interested. So it's a private group. It has nothing to do with the vice president. It's not him that, he has totally dissociated himself from that office opening. That is not him who...
The drug story. Who has the drug story?
They're smiling.
Yeah, the drug story. There was a drug dealer. No, I did. It was usual now. Yeah. This drug dealer in Brazil, he's a Nigerian. His name is Okafor. They only gave us his first name. There's this drug, the over 2-point-something kg of cocaine had come into Nigeria and was hidden in the toilet at the airport. Wow. And then he arrived, you know, later to pick it up, and NDLA was waiting for him. He was arrested.
Okay,
different ways.
All right, that's all we can take on the front page review. And we come back, we continue our hot topic. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're talking about educational tourism today. And we're taking this conversation from the story we read in the papers in today's Vanguard, giving us some interesting data about the amount of children that gain admission into schools abroad and how much money we're expending to educate our children abroad. And I'd like, BC, you have the figures?
Yes, I have the figures.
Establish the numbers.
So they said no fewer than 12,860 Nigerians were given admission into American universities during the 2020-2021 academic session, and they spent at least 172.8 billion on tuition fees during the period. Right. This is exclusive of the tuition fees paid by other students in 200 level and above. This is just for new entry.
Right. Now, so the average is about $32,000 a year. Now, this is not even the 2019-2020 session. The 2019-2020 session, let me see, we have 13,762 children that gain admission. In the 2018-2019, we have 13,423 children. And in 2017-2018, we have 13,693 children to travel abroad. Now, before we started this conversation, talk about saying that at some point, we are going to join the statistics, because there's a possibility that as we're raising our children to primary school level and into secondary school, we're likely to plan for them to also go. So it is almost standard for everyone. Once you enter American secondary school and you're done, there's a likelihood you actually go abroad for your BSc, or you stay in Nigeria for your BSc and then go abroad for your master's. Either way, our children are going abroad, but we're all going to contribute to these figures. And the question is, why is that so? Because even in this article, I think a group was encouraging Nigerians to ensure their leaders invest in education.
The ASU president
was saying that we must push our leaders to invest in education, because we can't keep exporting young people abroad to gain education when they can actually have it locally. And all this money that we're taking abroad could be used in Nigeria to develop our economy. So what are your thoughts on this? And the reason why I want to have this conversation is that I was speaking to a Nigerian leader not too long ago, and I was talking about the amount of wealth he had built before getting into office. You know, he had a company, he worked in NNPC, he did this, he did that, and when he got into elected office at some point, then his children went abroad. Now, would I now say because he's now an elected politician, his children should not school abroad? He's not using the government's money to pay his children's school fees.
Yeah,
That was
two issues.
I'm trying to establish the issues, because one of the reasons that the first solution is that leaders should not take their children abroad.
So first of all, we need to determine how many leaders' children.
That's 13,000.
Yes. So
We
how
don't know.
many of them?
You'll be surprised.
Are you saying that private individuals don't send their children?
No, I don't say that. I'm saying that if we use statistics, and the statistics are very, very open, we see their graduation ceremonies. Our leaders don't even hide it. Once their children are graduating, everybody posts it online.
Exactly.
So how many are there?
30,000
government chairman. How many are there?
I know.
How many? Less than 2,000.
Whenever you want to resolve a challenge, you don't discuss with players, you discuss with the leaders. Don't have meetings with somebody that cannot change the situation. So if I go and say I want to change the educational sector and I'm discussing with the ASU, the lecturers or fellow individuals like me, we can't change the situation. The situation will change from the leaders. And at any point in time, it's a pyramid. As it goes up, there are less people there. But you see these people here, they influence what goes down here.
Definitely.
So it's important that if we want to change down, we need to fix up so that it will trickle down. And that is why the solution always feels like you're pointing towards our politician or pointing towards our leaders. Why are we sending our children abroad? It's not convenient. Like every day now, I know I have the next 2 years, 3 years to plan how I must build assets in dollars that will pay my children's university fees in dollars, because we don't have a system in Nigeria locally that I'm sure if my child goes through that school, it can compete favorably around the world. And that is the goal, that you build. You are raising global citizens. That's my own personal goal. I want to raise global citizens. And many of our politicians are like that too. Many individuals are like that too. Everybody that can get money, they gather everything together.
You know, I thought there's a data I came across, I think about a year or two ago. I can't remember. I wish I got that data for this show. They're saying that the Nigerians who are successful abroad are not really Nigerians who went to school abroad.
Yeah.
Those who are really successful are those who started their BSc here. Their foundation was in Nigeria. They went abroad, did their masters,
too,
and they were able to. So those are the ones that are really, really the world changers that we're looking for. But those of us that took them early into the US and did their BSc there, those just enter the American system and just become the average African American or in the system, and they don't usually try.
I think it's also interesting because I have had someone too in the UK say to me that he would advise that the best time to bring your child be after they've done secondary school or done half the 6th year of secondary school, because they come there now well grounded and understanding that this is an opportunity to do well here. This is an opportunity for me to come here and now do well that my parents have given to me. But when you bring them much younger, they don't understand that, see, here we're here to hustle, you know, this is normal. So I can see how that data corresponds to that. But, you know, I personally, I have no objections to people taking their children to school abroad. And I feel that it's something that, you know, anyone who can afford it, who feels that it's for the betterment of their child, that they can do it. Because I also feel that it affects our society as a whole, our country as a whole. But the only part that I have a problem with is I want our educational system to be such that other people can also send their children to our country, because there's something that we offer as well. There used to be people who used to travel from abroad to come to our universities, to school, you know. Parents used to do that when they take you out of your country to another place, because you know, the horizon, it broadens your mind. You meet new people, new cultures. It's nice, it's good. When, especially medical institutions, they do exchange programs. They send, my mom used to say to me that, like, when they have Americans come to Nigeria, there are some cases that they never see in America because they don't have those sort of diseases anymore, and then they see those things. So it opens your mind. So it's not a bad thing to have that exchange of people going back and forth. But you need to make sure that it's not just that we're doing just because ours has become dilapidated, rotten, there's nothing left. It has to be that we're exchanging back and forth. So now, sorry. Now the way to address that is, as you said, we need to now involve the leaders. We need to start finding a way to ask leaders to make some sacrifices. So we're not saying, you know, it's not your right, you shouldn't do it. But if you want to be a leader in our country now, because of the deficiencies that we have, what are the sacrifices? What are the sacrifices we can make to make it better? Put your children here, because when your children are schooling here, you will make sure that these schools are doing the right thing, are providing the right form of education.
Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation, especially that point Maria made about, should our leaders indeed have their children in this country? Would they make any difference? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today is still on the issue of educational tourism. And we talked about the fact that we have over 13,000 children who have been enrolled in American universities as of this year. And the figures that Nigerians have paid is about 8.8 billion naira so far.
Yeah.
BC, I've not heard your thoughts on this. What do you think?
So for me, every parent wants to be able to give quality education to the children. And that's one of the reasons we are working this hard. Honestly, some of us will just lie down and eat whatever we have, if not that we have children and want them to be better. Aside from the quality education, what we want to get out of it is to have children who are thinkers, children who are able to innovate, children who are creative, who are able to look at the society and give us solutions to our local problems. And if you follow the trend of the educational system, I think it was even better at the time we went to school using the public system. Compared to what we have now, we're seeing a steady decline in the quality of education. Our curriculum most of the time is obsolete. So in other climes, they are now reviewing and renewing their curriculum to attend to the problems of today. But we still have curriculum that takes us back 1950-something, solving the problems that no longer exist. So there's a gap when it comes to a child being able to think on their feet. We have the labor industry constantly complaining that the sort of graduates that they get are not able to fit in or do the job. They have to keep doing trainings over and over again. So we have identified that gap. And that is one of the reasons parents who now can afford it will prefer to send their children abroad to get that quality education, which is okay if you can afford it. But now we have a problem in our system, which is we lack quality education. Our schools are no longer up to date. They are not at par with international best standards, not anymore. And we want to solve this problem. So what's the solution? It will start, like Tope said, from the top. Policies. Now you want to serve. Nobody asked you to come and serve. So we need to, stabilize this. Nobody asked you. You decided, okay, this is my country. I want to come in and change some things for the betterment of everybody. You are supposed to make some sacrifices. That's the only way we can get people, because when you do not feel the pinch, it's easy Maria, please let me land. It's easy when things are happening to people around you and it doesn't affect you personally. When it affects you personally, when I know now, like Mariam was saying before we came on, that if BC knows now that she wants to change the educational system and she wants to become the local government chairman, and I know that there's a policy or a law that says once I take that position, my children will not school abroad, I will ensure that the school that they are going to, things will happen, things will change. Let me give you some statistics. The national budget, 2021 budget proposal to the National Assembly, we had 13.0 trillion budgeted for next year, and we have just 742.5 billion allocated to education, which is just 5.6%, the lowest allocation since 2011. So there's a steady decline. You will not ask people not to send their children abroad. But as policymakers, if we really want to change this, we need to start so that we can effect this change.
Okay, so there was something I was going to talk about, because there's always this perception that we have a horrible curriculum, and I've been argued over and over again that Nigerian curriculum can compete anywhere in the world.
Yes.
From the educational sector, they tell you the curriculum is at par. The problem we have is the delivery
Yes.
and assessment. We don't have teachers teaching it properly, and we don't have enough properly assessing them, so the children are thinking, as you have said. So I think we can help if we can get somebody to come and either verify what I've said or not. If we can be convinced that we can push that narrative
Yeah, I've heard that
our curriculum is active, because many children who receive that learning go abroad and they're stars. That's what. No,
I will argue with you. I will argue with you every day on this. We still have schools that teach typewriting. How
I don't know where those schools are.
They are university.
We talked about it on the show. We have schools that teach typewriting. So
typing and shorthand.
Yes.
Till now. So how updated is that curriculum we're talking about?
That school is not going according to our curriculum. That's
no. Secondary school, university level we're talking about.
No, it is left for the policymakers to ensure that the curriculum is at par. And how do you do that? Current trends are emerging every day. You won't do so 2 years ago.
I think what Mara is trying to say is that there is a updated curriculum. Schools are not doing it.
Some schools are doing it.
So that will take us back to what Afe Babalola says, that we have some schools that are illegal. So it's not just in structure, it's also in things like this, what they are teaching people, and NUC needs to sit up and making sure that those schools are identified.
I also wanted to answer you. You know, when we always sit here and say Nigerians, when they go abroad, they do better. The educational system here is tailored to take care of the very intelligent children. What about the children who are the creatives, who do not even understand? No, they are even they are creatives. They don't even understand the school system. Absolutely. Are we ready to take care of them? And that's why we see that the A stars, the A students in our schools, they don't do well here. The people who employ them are the third class.
I get that point. You're very correct. So you teach a child biology because you expect the child to become a doctor. Really, you should be teaching biology to educate the child on how the body works. So the body, so that's what they do abroad, where they just teach you. So, for example,
that's what we do.
No, for example, now my commissioner, which is an example, where in a Nigerian, if they tell you to draw, they draw an eye. Nigeria will tell you to label every single thing, right? Yes. Now, in abroad, they just should give you 2 eyes and tell you which one has an issue. Because if you know the one that has an issue, you understand the features. You already understand the features. So that teachers understand the teachers understand the eye, not to label the eye. They're 2 different things. So it's just that the curriculum is there to teach you the eye, which is the curriculum. But it's the delivery of it and the assessment. That's what's not making that child understand. That's a different thing. So coming back to the issue to our leaders. Because the argument I was making with you during the break was that I am a leader. I have money. You've checked my code of conduct bureau. I've certified me that I have 10 billion naira in my account, sitting, chilling. And I'll say, because Nima, Tokwe, BC are saying that, now young people, please go into politics. Join. I said, okay, my child is in secondary school. Let me to go and join politics. And then I go and support them. And I go in there to do my work as a politician. You now tell me I should send my child to Nigerian school because I volunteered my time, expertise, experience to become a leader in Nigeria. Is that fair? That's the question.
So, I think it is. Here's what I'm going to say. It is unfair to expect that people that might have money but are enjoying the perks of office will not be willing to take the full haul of the sacrifice necessary to build the nation they say they want to build.
I don't understand.
So when you become a politician, support the ideal sense is I have gone into office, I desire to solve the problems and serve this country. Of course, it is sacrificial. If you decide you want you want to get into that office, then you will make the sacrifices necessary. We need to make it unattractive to be political. We need to make it unattractive to have political position. We need to know that anybody that says I want to go there is making huge sacrifice. That way, as it is right now, many people don't even trust our leaders. We don't trust our leaders. We don't believe in the sincerity of their purpose being there. And so it involves a way to win back the trust of the people. And there is nothing that would the day that I have to eat, when you cook a meal this is the meal I'm giving away to my security people, this is the meal Oga would eat. The day when we decide that every meal that we are cooking in this house is the one Oga would eat, you will see that the soup will have origination inside.
Right now, you are doing very well. You are building a business, right? A business. I said tomorrow they encourage you to become maybe a politician. and you now tell them, because I'm a politician, your children will not go. So that
I'm
dollar
not going to go into it.
that dollar you are saving.
I will not go into politics.
Now today I'm not going into it. But there'll be a time where young people, young minds like yours are needed to change. And they say, no, please throw yourself into the ring, and you must, because we need your intelligence, we need your ability, your maturity. So would you now say that dollar that you're saving, that you're trying to build now, you know, say, sorry, my children cannot go to school abroad because I'm now in the I'll answer that question after this break. I have this caller, I'll come to you. Femi is a whole for a while. Femi, are you there? I'm so sorry, Femi, please forgive me. Let me go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue with this conversation.
She'll put her mouth.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing education. I think Dr.
Yes, I was going to go. Number one, it doesn't take a year to cause the change we need. Actually, we exaggerate, we underestimate what can happen within 1 year, and we overestimate what can happen in 10 years. Within 1 year, with a team of all the National Assembly executives, knowing that we have to eat this soup. This soup called secondary school university, we must eat it.
In a few months.
The bad school, the same way, the letter, do you know how many months the Queen's College School wrote letters, the PTA wrote letters to the Ministry of Education, to the minister, that this school, we have issues, so people are falling sick, there's some things that are dilapidated, and it wasn't acted upon. When all of us know that this soup, we must eat it, then we must ensure that we put all the right ingredients within it, and you will see major change in months, because everybody will now sit up and do their work. We are not lacking resources, we are lacking management, adequate management of the available resources. So if we manage it well, everybody is doing their job, you will see massive improvements in what is already on ground, because what is on ground is not bad. It's just because we don't take it serious that made it seem to be getting worse.
Yeah, fantastic. Let me take this call. Femi, are you there? Hello, Femi, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good
You're
morning.
live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, morning to talk DC, Moraya, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic. And one thing that we know that I would like to say is Nigerians are very smart people.
Yeah.
Whether we school here or we school outside Nigeria.
We'll be fine.
Have you ever noticed that Nigerians here, when they travel out, even if they school, if they probably had their university education and they travel out, they go out to be the best outside there. So it shows that we are very smart. I've been in office, I've worked with people that school outside Nigeria. The only thing they have that is better is the fact that they are more exposed. They are not smarter, they are not more intelligent. In fact, people here, the only thing we have here is that we have a lot of people that are not, a lot of guys that are not serious. But if you can get the serious ones here, they are very, very good. They perform better. And I think this said something about training. The truth is, there is no how you bring people into any company that you not train them. It's the core of every company. You have to train people how you work in your company. It's different from how you work in any other place or any other client. So yeah, whether they school abroad or they school here in Nigeria, when they come in, they have to be trained. So in that place, on that aspect,
all right. Thank you very much, Femi.
Yes,
comments on the...
Yeah, I wanted to say that the problem we have with our educational system is not like it's that bad. And I know Miriam wants to highlight all the good parts of our educational system. We, all of us here, except you, we schooled in Nigeria. It's not that bad. But there's a very important crux of education that we are missing out, which is the highest level of intelligence, and that is creativity. Till we get it right, no matter what we do. Nigerians will travel and go there and do well with the conducive environment, with everything given to them. You see that we are naturally smart people. Nobody's arguing that. And our government likes to, harp on that to say that, hey, but you people do well when you travel out and neglect what they're supposed to do. We do well when we travel out. Are we innovative here? is our educational system allowing us to solve our problems here? That's how you know that your educational system is doing well. If you can solve problems, if you go to schools and you see lecturers coming up with things and they're solving problems. So hold on, that crux is handling the creative part of that child. Now, the children who do excellently well here are the book-smart children. The people in the middle, those ones who are actually the innovators and creators, how God has made them to be, are usually neglected because of the way our educational system focuses on paper qualification, paper test, ability to recall. Memory and recall is the lowest level of intelligence anywhere in the world.
And they are the stars
so
here.
they are the stars here. And that's why we can't innovate, and that's why we can't create. So if we can harp on that, and that's what happens when they travel. So you see very dull children here, when they go abroad, you see them excelling because those people find a way to connect with that creativity of that child. That is what me I'm fighting for when it comes to quality education. Till we get that right, we'll just be doing book smart, paper smart. So it's not helping us.
From what you're saying, there's a large chunk of young people that are not getting the best of the education because our educational system is focusing on the A class ones who are book smart. But this group here, which are more, are not getting from this education system what they want because they just go out and there's nothing for them.
Yeah,
they fail
the most important
book examinations, but they're actually creative people who are smart in other ways. I get your point. Yes, Mara, let me get a few more comments.
I just wanted to add that I know that maybe someone listening who does not live in Nigeria will be thinking, my God, there's no education in Nigeria. It's horrible. It's not that bad. There are different levels, and I know that the private sector has stepped in many ways to, you know, block, to take care of some of those gaps. But for those of us also who schooled here and who schooled in the public system as well, we can say that, you know, it worked for us and also provided sort of like a firm foundation for when you get to travel abroad. So you are equipped also to be able to work under, you know, tough situations, and you have resilience because of that. But the only thing that's the problem right now, that while we're having this conversation, is really about delivery, as you mentioned. It's about the execution of what it is that we have, the maintenance of what it is that we have. And also, to add to that, is the reward system. We need to find a way to better reward people in the educational system, students, people that make children that excel in education. We need to find a better. Do you want to take a call?
Yeah, I want to take a call.
Let me just.
All right, let me take this call from Lara. She's holding for a while. Lara, are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Morning, you're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Educational system in Nigeria is a big one. My own opinion, for every policy maker, you want to serve us in this country, your children must attend the school system in this nation. There's no two way about it. You are coming to serve. So there's a sacrifice you must give to serve. And the sacrifice that you must pay is for all of us to be in this system. Any other way, my sister, is no go area. It will not work.
All right. Thank you, Lara. Thank you, Lara. Mary, I'd like you to take up on that because, finish up with your point. I'd like you to take up.
Okay, so to finish up, I was going to say, you know, the way that we reward. And another thing that I find that's a major problem, as you said, we learn to cram, we learn to regurgitate what we have read, but we don't understand, like, how to apply. So you would have gone through university, finished with the 2-1, but you're unable to write an application letter. You're unable to interview properly. So those are the things that I think we need to incorporate when we are, you know, in our educational system. Abroad, they have a lot of summer jobs and things like that. They find themselves working. Yes, you find you're working in the labor market while you're in school. You understand the language of when you get out of school. Because no one is going to sit down with you and be asking you demand and supply directly like that.
So those are things you have to find how to apply. Based on what this caller just said, and the data you gave us, 12,000 people, children. Let's just say patapata all our leaders, 2,000. Their children, out of these 12,000, 2,000 belong to our leaders. 10,000 normal citizens, as we the people, are sending our children. Now, the problem is that 172 billion is being spent. Now, are you going to tell we the people that we should stop taking our children, but to support the Nigerian economy, because it's one thing, education sector is a different matter. But if you are asking your leader to be as patriotic and sacrificial, that you're a leader now, and you're a Nigerian now, please let your child say you're a leader. You too, you're a Nigerian. Please let that money, that your economy money, let it stay in Nigeria. Can I also ask you, as a people, the same to make them make sacrifice?
But Mariah, that's not the problem.
Let me come.
It was me. Sorry. That's not the problem. We want to spend our money where we get value. That's it. You don't even need to ask us. If there's value there, if there's value in Okoko Maiko, I will take my money there. Simple. That's what the private citizen is going to do. For a message, we're trying to send a message, and we're trying to build we're trying to make things better. The only way you can do it is by those who have the power and the authority to make a difference. And those who have the power and authority, they may just be few in number, but they have a lot of influence and they have a lot of impact. So that is why we're asking them. And you know, it will not be, and I don't want us to see it like, let us punish these politicians for daring to be politicians. That's not what this is about. This is about, let us ask the politicians to look at it our way. Sir, this office has provided you with some perks, has provided you with some
ability to solve the problem.
You know, can you take advantage of that office and the perks that it affords you to help make a lasting impact? Yes. Because of your influence, you're able to take your child abroad, but that is just one child. Okay. Can you use your office to make sure that this will be something that affects many other children apart from your children? That's what we're asking.
A note I took was that we're losing so much money to education tourism and making nothing back. You know, before you even mention that, that's the crux of the problem. We have shortage of dollars, and we have a lot of people are sending their children abroad, but we're not making anything back. If we were making money, if we had other sources, other areas in the educational sector that people are coming. And it is easy for us to create this. Our art is beautiful. I went to Yabatech, and we have the arts department, and we used to have foreigners come to study the way what we did in our woodwork and what we did with our metal works. Go to Benin. The University of Benin can create a major educational tourism from our art sector alone. They look at our art abroad. We're bringing them back. I'm saying that we can educatively, the minister can say that you can take your money abroad. Though. You see this money will make ×3 just on art alone. And they will create a system that will bring educational tourism to Nigeria for the sectors where we are good. A willing mind will find 1,000 ways, and a willing mind will find 1,000,000 excuses until they are willing. And what makes you willing? You have no choice. If you leave me inside this room and say, find a way out, Murayo, my nails will become claws. I will dig my way out of this place.
Can we then, so that's just 1%, because if you look at the number, I can't value the money that will come in. But we're talking about 172 billion that has gone out. Now, arts is not going to give you 172 billion. That's one. You see, let us be realistic.
So what we give
let us just say that, and the point I'm trying to make is that the government has to, just like you said, be creative. There has to be other avenues of bringing back this money. Not through that art. Because I don't know how many universities have that opportunity to sell 172 billion worth of art. That's one angle. The point I'm trying to make is that if all of you have exported your children abroad, can those of us that went before come back? The few batches that went before, can they come back? Because the truth is that we all finally go. How are we going to bring back? They come back to build the economy. Come and start invest in the agricultural sector, invest in education. That we're talking about. Invest in health.
That's another level. But there's this level where we used to have a lot of children, even from secondary school level. We used to ship them abroad to boarding schools abroad. But I hear that the numbers have dropped. Of course, with the increase in the dollar rate and everything, many people have brought their children back. But you know, we're not giving the private sector kudos enough. There are people building schools and making sure that they building an educational ecosystem that sort of mimics what you can find abroad. So your children are here and they're schooling here.
But getting the same quality.
Yes, and then you're spending that money here. Nigerians don't want to just go abroad just for going abroad's sake. They're going abroad because they're looking for value. And we're saying that if you give us that value here, we'll leave our children here. Children are schooling here, primary schools, secondary schools, in the schools that they feel best will best capture their.
My question.
What's the question?
The question is, you and I are demanding and asking our leaders, because you've become leaders, please don't tell your children to go abroad. So you are a human being, to stay here. I'm not saying me. I have the ability to take my child abroad. Once the child finishes abroad, let me too. Get the politician to tell Morel, bring back your child to Nigeria to come and work, because both of us are being sacrificial, that went patriotic. I'm not taking my children abroad. Your own child that went abroad, let them come back back and invest.
Right. The problem is that you're dividing them into two. The leader is still the same Nigerian, the same person, the same one person. We're in this together. This is not about sending your child and you staying back. We're not punishing anybody. I'm saying Nigerians are already making sacrifices. Private citizens are using their money to build schools, to create good schools for people to stay here.
It's not everywhere.
So that's the way that they're also making their sacrifices. They can use their money, go abroad and do schools abroad.
Yes, unfortunately, we have to send this segment. I'm sorry, this is not we have to end at this point. But we can't end this conversation. We need to obviously bring it back up because it's a going concern. You know, Nigerians obviously will continue to send their children abroad until the educational sector is revamped. Let's go on a break. When we come back, move on to other segments. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we go into our next segment, it's important for us to take a few comments on Facebook and Instagram. Go ahead, Mariam.
Yes, so we have Sam Olu says, yes, Nigerians are very intelligent. I traveled to the UK and I'm currently doing engineering role, which will require me to have a first degree in engineering in Nigeria. But here I am with a degree in political science, working as a project planning engineer. In fact, I funded my training personally and I follow up training on YouTube and Udemy. Osasomwen Ojo says, leadership is not by force. In fact, we should only allow those who really want to serve the people to do so. Having said that, a leader should be ashamed when their children are schooling in another man's country.
Talking about that, somebody sent a message, says, I hope you see this before the end of the topic. Says that, did you see a picture over the weekend where the VC of a university in Nigeria traveled abroad for his son's graduation?
Yes.
And yes, he's a leader in the educational system. I didn't see that.
I saw the picture.
I saw the picture.
Yes, and then he explained that the child did his first degree here in Nigeria and went abroad to do his master's.
Which is standard, so you can't blame him for that. But I mean, but you see, hey,
let me just take one more message. Rolake Oluwatobi Loba. Oluwatobi says, we're all guilty of this. An average Nigerian wants to promote the goods and services of other countries rather than made in Nigeria, either cars or tourism. Definitely, it will affect all sectors because there is also a higher level of seriousness and negligence in all government parastatals, not just educational system. And no one has been held accountable because corrupt minds rule. The same way government neglects road construction because elites don't supply them, we also only revive our economy if we are willing to change our mindset and we are empathetic.
Fantastic. So this just tells us it's all of us.
Yeah.
We are all guilty of this. Okay, let's move on to our next segment. So barely weeks after the Nigerian Labour Congress warned the federal government against flouting the agreement on the electricity tariff increase, the IMF, that's International Monetary Fund, has called on the federal government to completely remove not just electricity tariffs, but also remove fuel subsidy. And joining us on the show, on this segment, is Martins Arogie, who is a partner of the Energy and Natural Resources Services for Kleinveld Piet Marwick Godela, KPMG. Yeah, in Nigeria. Goodness me, I could have just said KPMG.
Yes, you should have.
Yeah. And he's currently the supervising partner for the team providing tax advisory, compliance, and regulatory services to clients in the power industry. Thank you very much for joining us. You know why I'm laughing? Last week, right, I told our scriptwriter that please always write out the full name. Because I'm like, you just put the NPC. What does NPC? Tell me what it is. No, she's going to write. Okay, listen, Madam Writer, it's KPMG. Nigeria. You ain't gotta say. Anyway, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so concerning this issue of taxes, you know, I mean, Nigerians, we don't want to pay taxes, we don't want to pay tariff, everything is just going crazy. Me, I have an issue with labor, it's my own personal issue with labor. But in your view, do you agree with IMF? IMF is saying remove you have to remove subsidies completely and increase the tariffs. And else is saying, don't you dare, because people can't afford it. How do we find a middle ground? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, it's a very interesting topic and situation, if I may say so myself. The tariff issue is more like the chicken and egg situation, what comes first. I don't typically agree that Nigerians are not willing to pay the proper tariffs, because if you check what exactly is our real cost today of generating electricity, it's probably higher than what the tariffs are. Most of us have generators in our house. We buy diesel or fuel, which isn't particularly cheap. We have on speed dial the number of one generator repairman, Mosuru or Bashiru, who is constantly coming to our homes. If he's not servicing, he's changing one part and the like. So if you look at the actual cost, you will find out that at the end of the day, we're probably spending a whole lot more than what the tariff numbers say. So in a sense, I think that we can afford to pay more. But I think where people have typically struggled is what exactly am I paying more for? What's the quality of service? And what's the guarantee that if I begin to pay so much more today, I would be able to pack up my generator and say I can wholly, reliably assume that I would have power for the majority of time. If I was running a small business, if I had a barbering salon, for example, I would want to pay more and get away with my small generator, because even the impact on the environment, we just finished COP26. So there's a whole lot that those generators do.
Go ahead, Bisi.
Yeah, so Nigerians are worried about paying more because, first of all, they do not even understand the enormity of the problems we have. And the discourse over time have said that they are not even able to, give out more than they generate. So they have a problem of distributing and a problem of generation. So they generate, but they're not able to effectively distribute. If we pay more, do you think that will help us solve that problem so that we have more power?
Obviously, because if you look at what we have today, generation capacity is about, available capacity is about 3 times what we distribute. So yeah, we can generate 3 times more than what we currently get in our homes today. So if you imagine having 3 times more power, it will give you an idea of how much reliable it will be if we're able to distribute all that we generate. And it's a question of investment in infrastructure. And you can only make that investment when you have money. And what people have argued is that the discourse should have come with money when they bought it to make that investment.
Wow.
It's a fair argument, but there's also a place where it also breaks down. How long would they have been able to do that, given that they've not been able to also recover the cost of
money spent?
Yeah, because if I go to a bank today and say, can you give me loans so that I can invest in my distribution infrastructure, what they would say to me is, show me your P&L.
Yes.
And when you then see, which is something that happened for years, where the cost at which these schools were being asked to sell power to us was generally lower than the cost at which they were buying it from the generating company. Yes. It's not a viable business model. Clearly. So it's people say...
So that's my worry. We don't want to see abroad. Electricity anywhere is expensive. You go, they tell you, please don't turn on the light during the afternoon because they're paying crazy. Turn off the gas when you're not using it because they are paying tariffs, high tariffs. But here, even though now it's West Africa, what they pay for electricity, what they pay for fuel, is almost double what we pay in Nigeria. But why? Is it that we're spoiled or we just don't want to pay tariffs?
Again, we have to also step back a bit and see what's the background to all of this. We've never really paid for power. It's always been very, very highly subsidized. So there has to be a mindset change. When we privatized the sector, one thing everybody was very conscious of was that you couldn't just move Nigerians from the place where they barely paid for tariff to a place where it was then cost reflective. You had to come through.
Stages.
A stage. Yeah. So it was when we introduced the multi-year tariff order, we had a 15-year plan at that time to get to cost-reflective tariffs. So there will be several minor and major reviews, so we can slowly get there. Then during that time, these schools were supposed to make also steady investment in the quality of infrastructure. So by the time you get to that point where we are saying pay cost-reflective tariff, I can also see the impact of all that investment.
Labour will not carry flag. Let me go on a break. Come back and come talk for us. Miriam, stay with us. You want to do that small incremental one. Labour will carry placard. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, Okay, continue with this conversation. Yes, Tokwe had a question.
Yes, so I was going to ask you, we've heard the story over and over again. This conversation is not new. Like, since the moment they created discos and dencos, the story has been that until we have cost reflective, we will not have good power supply. And you've analyzed the chicken and egg. But one of the issues I've always heard when we speak to people from the discos is that there's a huge loophole of many Nigerians that are not captured, that are consuming power, but they're not captured. How, from your data analysis point of view, how do you best believe we can approach this in capturing everybody into the power grid and then charging cost-reflective tariff? How do you think it should be done in a way that would be attractive to investors, at the same time not detrimental to us as Nigerians?
Okay, it's a difficult question. Now, collection losses have always been very, very huge. Collection losses is primarily people who consume power but just don't pay for it. So people have talked about the number of options that are available to address them. The most popular one you would hear is metering. If I meter everybody, then obviously I would be able to reduce to a considerable extent collection losses, because once you have a meter, if you don't load your meter, obviously you won't have power. But it's Nigeria we're talking about here, where people have the capacity to bypass those meters. And discos have also complained significantly that. And it's one of the reasons somewhat that they've also held back from making that particular investment. If I had very limited resources and I was looking to where do I deploy this money? Do I deploy it into metering? Would it reasonably impact positively my collection losses? But when you have people with the mindset that can call one man somewhere and it bypasses the meter, it doesn't help you. Right. So they talk about, okay, why don't we meter transformers rather than individual homes? So we know how much power a community receives. So it then becomes the duty of everybody in that community to ensure that they are watching out for themselves and saying who is bypassing. Because if I read your entire meters and I see that the value comes to 100, and I supply 200, therefore there is a 100 gap. Yes. I would spread that 100 across every one of you. So everybody then gets to pay for the guy who bypasses. Yeah. So it then becomes your responsibility to ensure that nobody bypasses.
Ma'am, let me come to you.
Yeah, okay. So anytime we talk about taxes, tariffs, I just always feel that the Nigerian story is one of there's really no hope, you know. And I don't like to go away feeling that way. I want to believe that there's something that we have not yet discovered. There's something that we have not yet explored. If, you know, all things being equal, what would you say one thing that Nigerians can do when it comes to tariffs and paying their taxes and not bypassing? What is it that we can do to make sure that it's something that it will work here in Nigeria?
Nigerians?
Nigeria for Nigerians.
Okay. Now, this is a very different conversation, but it ties into two things that I'm very passionate about. One is the concept of responsible taxation, where everybody understands that they have a responsibility towards government, towards their fellow citizens, towards the community in which they live, to do the right things when it comes to taxation and when it comes to paying your fair share. And that concept for me is extremely very key. It applies not only to individuals but also to companies. Having that concept and knowing in your mind that I have this obligation to be responsible in the way I relate with my community. And then the second one, which I think is where what is probably lacking in Nigeria, is the concept of justice. People are able to get away with a lot of wrongdoing without any consequence. If you do a short poll, how many people pay taxes, you will find out the bulk of people who pay taxes are people in paid employment. And it's not because they want to. It's because
they collect it from source.
At source. So if I'd given you all your money and said, at the end of every month, just walk up to the nearest Lagos State Internal Revenue Service and pay the tax yourself. You probably will say, I will do it tomorrow.
Never do it, yeah.
Tomorrow never comes.
But we pay tithes.
But you're right. But that's the so. But you see, there's this huge informal sector that's not being captured in the economy, which I agree with you. But I want us to also touch on subsidy because we talked about electricity.
Yes. So the IMF is advising that we have to take out subsidy, because it's affecting our fiscal deficit, and we need to do it now. What do you think about taking out subsidy entirely? How do you think it will affect Nigerians? Is it something that we can survive? Because I know that there are some areas that they charge close to reflective tariff, at least there are some areas on the island, and the money charged there is supposed to use to cushion the effects for the poor people that are not being charged cost reflective tariffs. So do you think if we take out subsidy that the average Nigerian would be able to pay for power? Is it possible?
Okay, the way the power tariff structure has actually been designed is to allow for some sort of cross subsidy. So where some people pay higher because they probably can afford to. In our own case, industries are supposed to pay higher than us because there's supposed to be some sort of cross subsidy. So we use the excess from them to cover, even though it still doesn't, nobody still pays cost reflective today. But when we come back to the issue of subsidy, whether it's electricity or fuel, because the IMF was primarily talking about fuel subsidy, which is estimated to reach about 3 trillion this year, according to the IMF, about 2.9 trillion. So it doesn't look like I'm exaggerating. 100 billion is significant money.
Yes, sir.
So subsidy has always been a very topical issue in Nigeria. At the point, government has said that they are taking off subsidy, but no one considered one thing, that the price of crude would also go very high. And when that went up, and compared with the challenges we had with the naira and the exchange rate, it also then had a cascading impact on the landing price of the refined products in naira. Nigerians, but the question people have always asked is who and what actually benefits from the subsidy?
They say it's the poor.
Yeah, but is that actually really correct?
Wow.
You know, you see, this subsidy, we are kind of exasperated. Everybody is. But you see, what I would like, you as a KPMG expert, as a tax expert in this whole thing, what would you advise we can do to remove the gridlock between the NLC and government on the issue of subsidy? Because even when Nigerians say, okay, let's close our eyes, remove the subsidy, we're not even doing it again. And say, fuel prices go to 500 naira per litre, whatever it is. Mr. Waba and his team will say, no, you dare not remove fuel subsidy. But we know that because of this small cabal, these small markets that are benefiting from this subsidy, this economy will not grow. So how do we find a middle ground where NLC understands? Because NLC is insisting that build refineries, don't take it abroad. Here, that's the only, but that's the long-term thing. What are the immediate solutions that we can do so that both of us meet halfway?
3 months solution.
I think the first one is engagement. We need to constantly continue to engage NLC. There is no other way to do it other than try to explain to them what the consequences are. It is not feasible, it's no longer viable. If you take 3 trillion naira, there is a significant impact that would make on Nigeria's economy today. Our infrastructure deficit is very, very high. 3 trillion naira would make a huge impact. There are states that are struggling to pay salaries. If that 3 trillion naira cascades down to the states, it's also going to have an impact. NLC is about workers. Workers not being paid because
afford it.
Because states can afford it.
But the Baba cannot pay for his fuel because it's not 500 naira per litre. So how do we then?
So one of the biggest challenges that I believe we have with the subsidy is that our subsidy is not a true reflection of our consumption. And that is the corruption that we have been unable to solve. And because we cannot solve that corruption, we have decided that let's just put the cost of everybody on everybody. But the real issue that I want you to address is, am I right? Is because you have the data. I have the layman sense of I've been on this show, I've read the papers, I've listened to everybody, and from my analysis, the trillion naira that was spent on subsidy is not a true reflection of the fuel consumption of Nigerians. We are merely enriching the subsidy, the few people collecting the subsidy money, while there are cases of proven that the oil was collected, subsidy was paid on oil that did not come into Nigeria.
Yes.
Vessel was checked and there was nothing in the vessel and we paid.
Yes.
So obviously we are just empowering the people and we have decided as a nation
We don't want
that
to
this cabal, we cannot deal with them. They are too strong. So the best solution is we should remove the subsidy and leave them alone. But are we not still going to put Nigerians to pay the same cabal at the end of the day?
Okay, unfortunately, I can't comment on layman's
so
like
is this money a reflection of our consumption of fuel? What we pay to our subsidy?
What I can say to you is that the money is what has been reported and it's what we've paid.
And you work with what has been reported.
So that's what's been reported. But I don't think at the end of the day we should dwell on that, because at the end, if subsidy doesn't exist in the first place, then there is nothing to fuel, there's nothing to support. So if those numbers are not correct, if the consumption numbers are not correct, if we're not paying subsidy, whether we consume 100 or we consume 1,000, it doesn't matter. Everybody will still pay for what they currently consume. Now, the issue around whether Nigerians can afford it, again, it's also something that I'm not particularly sure, because at the end of the day, how much fuel does the Baba actually consume? If we get the power sector working properly, it won't need to consume that much fuel. So it's all working in the,
so
in
if, for
it's
example,
a circular economy
I
at the end of the
save
day.
3 trillion, right? And I put out that 3 trillion into power sector. Maybe I empower the discos or whatever it is, or we generate and whatever we're able to distribute. Then the Baba eventually would be able to pay something affordable for his, he will still be paying high for electricity, but you have to pay fuel again, because we need NLC to understand this cycle. Because if we don't remove this subsidy, we're going to, this affects everything, because their own worry, and NLC, let me not totally condemn them. They are fighting for that barber shop owner, because the barber shop owner cannot afford 500 naira per liter. That's their own fight. But can we therefore tell NLC that this 3 trillion we want to save, we will invest X amount into power? Now, with NLC trust that the government indeed will invest that money into power, that's another issue of distrust, where they put that you be promising us for X amount of years and nothing has happened.
Yeah, but that's the point. These things should not be based on whether I trust you. You can put in place a process that ensures that if we agree that these savings will be put into this particular use, what process have we put in place to ensure that we can monitor and guarantee that that's the use in which it is put into?
We're not hearing the
so it's not a word of I trust you, you trust me.
Uncle, we're not hearing this shopping. We're not in this country.
We shouldn't be discussing trust.
But there is a reflection of this matter.
Yes, now we shouldn't be discussing trust, but we have a system that people have found a way to circumvent over and over again, that when they tell us that they have put system in place, we know that the system will not work, which is why we have to now find a way to trust that the system will work. So you are saying system, of course it should be fact-based, but this is Nigeria.
You see, this topic, I really don't like talking about it. Let me tell you why, because we just go round and round. Pay the subsidy. No, don't pay the subsidy because we don't trust. It's constantly the conversation that we have. All I want to know is that if we remove subsidy, what will happen? Would it work?
If we remove subsidy and then we then determine that we are able to then invest that savings in projects that then help us receive the benefits in other sectors of the economy, then yes, it would work. So it's not just about removing subsidy and then keeping the money somewhere or putting the money away.
So Nigeria will be better for it if we stop paying subsidy?
Yes.
It looks like.
It looks like. We're not sure. We need to be sure. So what about private investors? If we take away subsidy and investors understand that they are able to control the market the way they seem fit, because for you to get into business, you want profits.
Exactly.
Do you think that will also help our system?
Yes, I can say that because nobody wants to really put money in a market where you can't guarantee. If I were going to a bank today, one of the first things they will say to me is, show me your financial model. My model will be based on certain assumptions.
Yes.
One of the things I want to be able to say to the bank or to my investors is that there is a guarantee that this will not change over a period of time, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. But if I have the mindset that whatever you are putting in front of me today, who knows what will happen in 6 months' time? They might reverse this, they might change that. So then it becomes a bit more difficult to then decide to invest in that.
Let me just ask you a general question based on data that you probably should have as a KPMG person. What's the data you can come up with on how much government is losing to policy flip-flop. If you are supposed to put a figure to it. Okay, what policy flip-flop is, let me not say policy flip-flop. Let me say change in policies. Our change in policies. CBN will come tomorrow and say, oh, we're stopping cryptocurrency. Tomorrow, the CBN will come again and say, okay, BDCs can do this. Okay, every new policy that, according to me, seems reactionary. What is the impact on our ability to have long-term FDI, investments coming to the country?
Unfortunately, I can't put a number to the loss, but what I can say to you is that I will think that it will be significant. Again, anybody who's looking to make an investment, one of the key things for them is certainty. I want to be able to know. And if you look at the petroleum industry and the petroleum industry bill and how long it took and the impact it had on additional investment in the sector, what people were primarily saying is, I don't care whether it is good or bad. I just want to know. I just want to know
what it is now.
So if I am confident and say this is what it is, I can then plan around that. If I then have a structure that says I can mitigate the impact of this because I know that this is what will happen over the next 5 to 10 years, and then I'm confident that yes, I can mitigate it, then I come in. If I don't think I can mitigate it and thrive in the midst of it, then I don't come in. But I just need to know. So it's very, very important to investors that there is certainty in the marketplace.
Our MTF, our medium-term framework is actually a medium-term framework that we can stand on, you know, and then we have long-term policy that we know we can stand on. But that's not the case in Nigeria.
Do you have any messages?
Fair or not?
Honestly, it's a sad topic.
You know, because sometimes you just feel like, you know, we're not going forward.
Yes, it always feels like that when we talk about tax, tariff, subsidy.
Then we try.
The irony of it all is, and to be very honest, it's a function of who we are as a people, not necessarily as a government.
Lead the people.
Not necessarily as a government. It's a function of who we are as a people. Everything from tariffs, taxes, subsidy. You talked about NLC now and all of that. So people still need to understand that. And it also ties into the conversation you were having before I came on air. Education. Sacrifice.
Yes.
There is a degree of sacrifice that is involved in nation building. And that sacrifice is not limited to only those in government. Even those of us outside of government need to also be willing to make that particular sacrifice. There is no nation that has grown without people making a degree of sacrifice.
Okay, I think we can end on that note. Thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure having you on the show today to share your thoughts on this issue of past talks, on this unending talk of subsidy, because it's removed, they've not removed. Today is not removed. Either way, one day we'll remove the subsidy. That's all we can take on the show today. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.